sidetracked, we learn about different how different things are affected by what they're being fed, whether that be cells, whether that be anything. They can either grow or they can shrink. So where are you placed?
Hmm.
Where are the people in your life? What are they putting? What are they telling you? That,
Yes.
what are people? What are they telling you? Because um, people can either feed you or they can cause you to shrink. For example, people are like, oh, your little book, oh, your little podcast.
Yes.
But good if you're in that environment, people is like, oh, why are you doing that? It's gonna take a while for that to grow. Why
Hmm.
this? Why are you gonna That's negativity that you don't need in your circle. You don't need that in your environment. So how can you expect to grow and become the entrepreneur, become that person that you're supposed to be, but you're surrounded by people who are constantly nitpicking? Oh, that doesn't look good. Oh, that you gotta start somewhere.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode, the first installment of the Well Read CEO. I hope you're just as excited as I am. Today's episode is a great one. We are talking all things mindset, environment, and seasons, and the role they play in your success when you're trying to reach those bigger goals in life, and honestly, those small ones too. So, we're talking about how a lot of times with your mindset and your environment, right, you have these great ideas, but a lot of times you're in these environments that are stifling your creativity, or maybe they're feeding you the negativity, right? So we're going through how to recognize those bad habits, those bad patterns, and how to address them when you do figure out and identify them. Okay. I've done enough talking though. Let's just hop right into the episode because I'm telling you, you're going to want to stick around to the end.
Today I have with me really one of my closest friends. I like to say he is an author, a speaker, a mentor, a coach, a my future doctor personally, just all around, just amazing, amazing person, honestly. Um, I can't even tell y'all how we met and how we start like become friends or whatever, but I just know that I'm very glad that we did. I feel like you have very few people in life that you come across that you just kind of link and you just kind of vibe with. And this is my person. This one, there we go. I forgot which way I'm pointing, but this is my person. That's just like that. Okay, so Ed, give us a brief background on you, maybe a 30-second, 60-second elevator pitch, who you are and what you do.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Edward Freeman. I'm a fourth year, well, technically fifth year, biology and Spanish major at Georgia Tech. I'm an author, motivational speaker, as well as a mentor. And a lot of what I do is develop a person. So I speak on emotional wellness, emotional wellness for the most part, as well as motivating our generation to become better versions of themselves. So that's what I do. I'm here to inspire. I'm here to spread love, and I'm here to spread God's light. So that's exactly who I am and what I bring to the table. And also, I'm pre med. So you may see me, well, not even may, but you will see me in somebody's medical school soon. So, yeah.
Yes, yes. Hey, okay. So first of all, let's unpack what do you mentor people on? I know, but I want you to tell me. So, what do you
So,
mentor people on?
from time to time on campus, I've stepped into mentorship roles, but I
Mhm.
would mentorship students, underclassmen rather, on just building themselves professionally, whether that be self esteem, whether that be working on your self esteem, boosting your confidence,
Mhm.
boosting your ego, like who you are on the inside. So that's
Mhm.
what I work on, but also working with academics. So mentoring students on academic opportunities, like, okay, how are you going to get your grades up? What are you going to do to succeed in this class? And what are you going
Mhm.
to do to clear that bag? So also that's one other thing that I also do. But mentorship as a whole, talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. How can you
Yeah.
build your brand? How could you build you as a person? And how can you put yourself out there as a college student? So those are some of the things that I work in: education, creative realm, as well as mental health as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So one more thing I know because you don't brag on yourself enough, but Ed also tutors on the side. So tell the folks what you tutor people in. What are you tutoring us in?
Yes, so I do tutor from time to time. I haven't really put it out there, but I
Mhm.
am a STEM major, so naturally being a STEM major, I had to be good at all sciences and all disciplines. But
Mhm.
I tutor in Spanish, and from time to time, I also offer French lessons.
Yes.
Major in bio and Spanish, so I've been speaking Spanish for the past 10 years. This is my 11th year,
Mhm.
11th year of learning. And also, I took French for 1 year in college, but I've also self-studied French for about 3 years now through travel and just like speaking with family, friends, and friends. So yeah, that's the gist of what I do. Foreign language education, I'm really passionate about. Like, I
Uh-huh.
love foreign languages. I love just being able to connect with people through language. So that's one of my passions.
Yes. Okay. I just had to give you like your full background and just really the cat's out the bag, you know?
Yes, yes.
I love talking to Ed because, I feel like we just link together in terms of humility. I am very humble when it comes to talking about myself. I know he is too, but I'm like, no, this is not the time for that. We're gonna, let the folks know because honestly, one thing I love to do and people that I love to bring on the show and guests I love to bring on the show, they're very young people, but they're still so accomplished, so successful. And I want to really break down that narrative, that stereotype that like just because you're young, like you don't have anything to say, that you don't have a voice, and that what you're doing doesn't matter because it absolutely does. And Ed's just like one of those people that I'm like, yes, I had to have him on the show, honestly.
Uh,
So I really want to talk about Ed, like, in terms of your purpose. What do you think your purpose and like your God driven like mission is in life? Because honestly, you do a lot, but I feel like the crux of it really comes down to self improvement or self development. So, how would you kind of like define your purpose?
oh, that is a very complex question with many layers. So I got to think on that one for a minute. So one way that I define my purpose is your purpose is one thing that you love to do. Is
Mhm.
what you love to do. So for me, I like to serve others. I like to be there. I like to give a helping hand. But
Yep.
your purpose is going to force you to be uncomfortable because there are many times where I'm just like, oh, do I need to do this? Do I need to post that? Do I need to text that? Do I need to inspire that? Do I need to do this? Because sometimes when you're a giver, people won't receive what you have to say. So a lot of times I was straight out rejected. So your purpose it's gonna pain you a little bit. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
and that's
That
just
could be a walk in the park.
that, yeah, that's a part of the walk. So I'm just like, God, just allow me to walk into my purpose. God gives us certain gifts. So
Hmm.
you know your gifts, and you know what you're talented at, you're naturally going to be inclined to do things towards that. So that's how I found my purpose. But I believe my purpose is to serve others and to spread God's love, spread His light, but also to inspire. So that's one thing that I see with my purpose.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So I just wanted to go back and just call something you just said. I said it's not a walk in the park. You said no, it's a part of the walk. I just love that.
Oh,
That little.
I thought you said it was a part of the walk. That's what I thought you said.
No, I didn't. But you know what? That's just the wisdom right there, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I already know that we're gonna need to have Ed back on like some more episodes because when I tell you, when we start pulling back the layers, there's so much knowledge and so much wisdom, so much that I've learned. Like I'm older than Ed, but he's taught me so much. Like
Me a lot too.
true, I know. I give a lot to you. You give a lot to me. That's what I really love. I love that connection, that relationship where you have to have those people in your life where it's not just you just giving, 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 giving,
Right.
right? It's got to be a reciprocal action at some point. Or otherwise, you're going to be empty. You're going to feel like you're so tired, you're so drained, and it's time for you to go.
Ooh, Shanice, let me tell you, yes. So there'll be times where you're pouring out, and that's the other thing about being a giver. Like,
Hmm.
know your boundaries, because I'm a giver. Like, I will serve people. Like, I will be there. I will pop up for people. I will get, I will give. But
Yeah.
what I realized, I said, wait a minute. These people aren't giving back to me like I'm giving to them. Why every time they have an issue, I have to pick up the phone
Hmm.
immediately, and it's just like, no. And then every time I have an issue, it's just like, oh wow, that's crazy. And I'm just like, but if I put a you on you, you wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
So that's, as a giver, you have to find those people that pour into you as you pour back into others, because that's equally important. It has to be an equilibrium, because if not, you're going to be drained, you're going to be tired, you're going to be pouring from an empty well, and takers are going to take. So takers are not going to care whether they take from your last or your first fruit. So it's just like,
They don't.
yeah,
Takers are gonna take, yo. They will take it all if you let them. I want to circle back to something you said earlier. You said, you talking about your purpose. You said that sometimes when you're walking in your purpose, you're giving, but it's not being received, right? And we're
right.
talking about this kind of duality of knowing when to kind of stop giving and when to kind of like cut things off. But how do you kind of know when it's like, okay, I just need to keep going right now. I just need to keep putting myself out there and walking in my purpose. Like, what's kind of that differentiating like factor for you?
I would say, you will sense when there's a, you will sense when there's like a, when it's time for you to move on in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because honestly, if you feel, I mean, you have discernment, you feel something's off, like you feel it in your gut, so you're not crazy. Like, don't ever
Yeah.
feel crazy. That's one thing I would say. Trust your intuition. If you
Mm-hmm.
that may be a time for you just to shift your direction, and there may, honestly, some things may cause us to go back into certain to go back into our purpose. Like,
Yeah.
it could be pain, it could be a rejection, it could be something, but that will cause you to go deeper into your bag and go
Mm-hmm.
deep, dig, and you may create something even greater than what you had before. So there are different avenues and different senses of directions
Mm-hmm.
cause us to go deeper into our purpose. But you will honestly shift, and you will feel it. Like, you will feel when it's time for you to go harder,
Yeah.
but sometimes that little pain or little pressure, like, for example, I'm about to graduate in 2 months and 5 days, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. But
Uh-huh.
5 days. So it's like, in terms of everything that needs to get done in this time, it's like that little pressure. That's what's pushing me to produce. That's what's pushing me to go harder, because I know, come December, I don't need to be stressed about this. I need to enjoy December. So now,
Yeah.
October, come November, it's got about to be pushed into overdrive. So it's like, my purpose is probably just woo, 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 woo. But
It's spinning.
it's spinning because
Yeah.
I what I got to do, because you're on a time crunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that's how I see it.
No, no, that's a good point. That's something I wanted to like unpack too, because I feel like a lot of times when you run into this situation where you are confused, you are conflicted in terms of, when is it time for me to just kind of pump the brakes a little bit, and when is it time for me to go a little bit harder, right? I have come to kind of get in the habit of when I'm in like those moments, and you kind of hinted at it too, prayer, right? It's also just getting alone, pulling yourself aside, taking that space, that time to really be very introspective and kind of figure out, why you are connecting to certain folks, why are you, even considering staying connected to them, and it just, that little difference that like that time alone does for you, because a lot of times we're just moving, we're just trying to keep busy so that we don't have to stop and think about it, right? Because when you think about it, we don't like thinking. A lot of times we don't like being alone. You try to fill that space and that void with music, with Netflix, with everything else in the world, when it's really and truly a time that you need to just sit and reflect on yourself, sit and meditate, So
Absolutely. And it's like, I would say another thing is, you got to silence the noise in your life so you get
yeah.
like direction. So right now, I know I have a crunch for certain things that need to get done. And
Mhm.
that's just real. I say, you know what? Nobody's going to be able to do it but me. And
Yeah.
if my vision, if I know that I want to do it, I got to hold myself accountable. So it's been less time on social media. It's been less time, I would say, being very intentional with my conversations,
Mhm.
like very intentional. And it may be less times being social. It
Yeah.
could, and it could be like they're having a kickback or they're having a function. Do you want to show up? And it's just like, no, I got to work on this project. I got to do this. But it's because in that in that moment, you're focused on your purpose. And when you have purpose-based thoughts, purpose-based conversations, instead of surface level conversations, like party time is over. Playtime is over. Like when you want to get to where you want to get to, you're gonna have to cut some things off. And that's just it's hard because people are like, oh, you're old, you're acting old and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you rather be in your bag at 25 versus wait until you're like 35?
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying, but I mean, yeah, that's how it is. And I mean, people will when you tap into your purpose, it could offend some people. Like it could. Like I saw a tweet yesterday, and I think I posted it, but it was a lady. She was talking about when you're fully confident in who you are, it
Mhm.
could upset some people, but be all that who you are. So when you walk into your purpose, it's like you walk into another level. So some people you was cool with in the next season,
I like to say people are here for a season and a reason, honey. Just identify those two things and you'll be better off, it hurts sometimes because sometimes it's family members, sometimes it's really close friends, childhood friends, but
listen,
you cannot elevate to the next level if you're holding on to dead weight. You can't.
gotta let
Because
go.
some people are just, and it's just the depressing that's on their life, honestly. They're just so negative, and sometimes they don't even realize it. But the things they say, the way they act, the way they move, you just know that it's not in line with what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And really quickly, something that I want to kind of call out, and let's kind of take a second real quick, is you muted yourself again. Okay, I just want to make sure that
Oh no, you good.
Okay, so one thing I want to try and circle back to really quick and kind of call out, and let's like unpack. It's just this idea, if I really want something right now, I'm just going to focus on it and go hard at it, right? You kind of saying like little quotes going around Instagram. It's like, 1 year of like staying or 6 months of staying down can really put you ahead, 2 or 3 years, right?
Right.
And it's so true. If you really want something, put your mind to it, cut out any distractions, and just go all in on it, right?
Mhm.
One of the things I want to talk about, because we hear this all the time, well, what's the balance? What's work-life balance? What's this? What's that, right? I think balance is a myth, right? It's really just all about prioritizing. And that's something that I think you are starting to get the hang of a little bit more. And for people that don't know, it's a little bit of context. Ed, you just like went on your solo trip to Costa Rica, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's like this idea. I want to just call something out too. When you kind of hear people say grind, grind, grind right now, it doesn't mean that you can't take a mental health day. It doesn't mean that you can't take a self-care day,
Right.
You can still build that in while you're still intentionally being strategic, like about your plan and about your goals in life, right?
That's real. Yeah. Right. Shanice, like, I'm glad you hit it right on the head. You can still be very intentional about just living your life because when you think about it, you're gonna work, 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 work. But what if you don't get that time off?
Yeah.
You're gonna crash and burn. Burnout is real. Burnout is ugly. Burnout is real.
It is.
Burnout is real, and you just push into the finish line. But you got to have those moments where, you know what? I'm not gonna grind. I may sleep in. I may watch Netflix. I may just roll in my bed like
Mhm.
looking crazy,
Yeah.
sleeping all day. But sometimes you need that break to just rejuvenate. You need that time to just I mean, shoot, I was about to say hibernate. Probably too. You probably hibernate too. But you need that time just to take a step back from everything you have going on and just,
Mhm.
you know what? Breathe, fall back, turn
Yeah.
your computer off, and just rest. Because when you have those moments of rest, you can connect to yourself, and you're like, okay, I'm really not the best in my mental health. I'm really tired. My body needs this. My body needs that. You listen to your body because if you're on the go, you can't even listen to your own thoughts or listen to your body. So it's like taking that solo trip to Costa Rica. One, I don't wait on people for nothing. I'm sorry. Like, I was just kind of like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to Costa Rica.
Mhm.
I did. I had worked my internship over the summer. I took 2 summer classes with my senior capstone and a full-time internship.
Mm-hmm.
One point in the internship where I worked 17 days straight because my lab experiments, they required me to come in on weekends.
Oh, I
But
remember that. Yeah.
trials, 2 trials with my lab experiments, and pretty much I worked 17 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
14-day trial, but one of the trials didn't end until that Wednesday. So I had to come in those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I was burnt out. And I said, you know what? I said, you got to treat yourself. I took that overtime money and I just said, you know what? We're going to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And it's that. And with the solo trip, the reason why I wanted to do a solo trip, and honestly, I was going to invite people, like I was, but I just thought about the hassle of inviting people and, people canceling and then making, I was just kind of like, that's a headache.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. You got to travel with the right people. But what I learned about myself on that solo trip is life is about enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Life is about rest. Life is about just meeting new people and taking on new experiences. My parents call me Dorrell the Explorer, but I was out here just roaming Costa Rica for a full week. And with that experience, I said, you know what? I said, I'm about to enjoy my life because life is too precious to just sit and work all day.
Yeah. You have to take those self-care days because honestly, when you sleep or when you allow your mind to rest and stop racing, right? You get so much clarity. And what I mean is that like sometimes I'm working on a problem, I'm trying to find a solution for it all day, right? And nothing is working. It's not clicking, right? As
Right.
soon as I get up and step away, I go take a shower, I take a quick nap, all the light bulbs start going off. And I'm like, what? Like everything starts to make sense. But it's because you're pulling yourself away from that environment and away from that hustle and bustle, and you're allowing your mind to really connect to what you're trying to do, right? A lot of times you can just be your own like blocker. You can be your own barrier in terms of getting to that next level. You have to slow down, you know?
You got to slow down. Like, if you're going too fast, eventually you're going to crash and burn.
You're going to miss your exit. You're going to miss it. And it's just like, it's not a matter of, if, it's just when, you can like that, be the person that's just like speed, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. You're not getting anything done. One of the things that I'm like reading right now on the books is called the 4-Hour Work Week. And it really talks about, in terms of a lot of times we fill our day with busy work, busy tasks, right? We call ourselves being productive, but we aren't accomplishing anything, right? And I was like, yo, that's exactly what I do, That's exactly what I find myself doing. I find myself putting a bunch of these meaningless tasks on my to-do list every day. And it's like, but at the end of the day, what am I actually doing? What am I actually accomplishing to get me to my goals? So that's what I say in terms of like, a lot of times you can put things on your plate that don't need to be there, that really aren't getting you anywhere, just to say that you were busy, just to say that you worked 9 to 5. So I just want to call it in terms of taking those breaks when you get the chance. Or you know what? Not when you get the chance, make it. Like build it into your plan, build it into your schedule in terms of taking that time for yourself. Because honestly, you're going to use some of your best ideas. You're going to become your most creative self when you take that time, honestly.
Absolutely. And when you take that time, you come back with a greater mindset and a greater sense of who you are as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And other things too, I think that when I come back from those breaks, I'm more appreciative. I'm more like grateful for where I am, because a lot of times you can be your own, or at least I know I'm like my own worst critic. Like I am so hard on myself, but it's like when you take that time to step back and reflect on just how far you've come, man, then you come back and like you're re-energized, like you're pumped and ready to go. So that's so much like value that I take in terms of taking that time off and taking that break, right? So one other thing I wanted to dive into too is in terms of solo tripping, right? Going on a solo travel, by yourself, because I'm working on it. But for you, how did you kind of like put those fears aside, what kind of brought you comfort, or what kind of brought you peace? Did you kind of plan the trip all on your own, or did you like use a travel agency? Like, what was that like for you?
Shanice, this is so crazy, and my parents still think I had my parents stressed. I know they had. I know I thank God for the prayer warriors in my life. I know I had everybody stressed, but um, I winged my trip completely. I tried out.
I can't do that. That's not me. I'm not a winger. I can't do it.
I wrote out an itinerary like I really did, and I booked online tours.
Okay.
Thing about it, when I got down there, I didn't know the geography of Costa Rica at all. So
Yeah.
locations where I booked to,
Yeah.
I didn't know they were. I didn't know Costa Rica wasn't like a straight highway. That it was Costa Rica's mountainous for one. So
Mhm.
no straight shot. What would it take in like probably 1 hour if it was a straight road? It takes 4 to get to the other side of the country. So with that being said, I tried to go to Nicaragua. I wanted to go to Nicaragua,
Yeah.
but I got an email advising me from like I think it was I got an email about a travel alert for Nicaragua, and I canceled my tour because I guess it's a lot going on right now in the country. So I canceled my tour, and I ended up being stranded in the middle of Costa Rica for 2 days. This is a story I don't really tell a lot of people, but I was stranded. So I had to pay a private taxi to get to the other side of the country.
Mhm.
And I eventually made it. Probably the scariest thing I've ever done. Like
Yeah.
solo. Um in the middle of a private taxi in the middle of Costa Rica. Like just
Mhm.
so with that being said, I had an itinerary written,
Yeah.
but I learned to be flexible in my schedule, but I met some really cool people on the tour. Like I met somebody who went to Georgia Tech while at the tour, and their parents invited me to hang out with
Mhm.
the tour. We went to the hot springs, all of that, and then I met while on my boat ride, I met an American family.
Okay.
We went scuba diving in the middle Pacific. It was a boat full of Americans. And we just literally just hung out, talked about our differences. We spent like 12 hours on the boat. Um, Even at my hotel, there was a family from DC. We hung out. They took me to the beach. They took me under their wing. Like,
Mhm.
you meet really cool people. And I know people say stranger danger, but I really had to get out of that mindset of course, be like, don't tell people where you stay and stuff with a solo trip. Like,
Yeah.
smart. But I would say at the same time, get out your comfort zone and meet people.
Yeah.
Learn.
That's okay. That's so awesome. And I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of confirmation because, okay, so you know that I've been talking about this for a while, but I really am thinking about studying abroad.
As you-
And my plan is to really move abroad, right? And I've been watching a lot of, videos on it and reading up on like many blogs about how people have done it, that Americans have moved abroad. And one of the things, one of the blogs said was just, you have to really get into this mindset or put it in your mind that like there are more good people out there than bad people. You have to like look for the good and stop immediately searching for the bad, because
yeah.
the bad is always there. But you have to like know and believe that people are going to try to help you as much as they can.
Tell you, I never, when I say I never felt unsafe in Costa Rica. Like I was
Mhm.
concerned taking that taxi ride 4 hours across the country. Like, but other than that, I thought I was gonna get kidnapped. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Um,
Oh my gosh.
so like, yeah, I never told my parents this story. Like I was like, oh, I'm good. I was like I was sending my location to everybody because I didn't know.
Yeah.
That was the craziest experience I've ever had, but it was the most valued experience. Like the
Yeah.
the taxi driver stopped me through different parts of the city. Like we were in the cut, like the middle of the mountains, and he was like, "Look at this. This is the lake. This is everything." And he didn't speak. I'll say, luckily, I am a Spanish major. He didn't speak
Mhm.
at all, but those full 4 hours, I was on survival Spanish. That was the most fluent Spanish I've ever spoken because I was scared. but I got to see the real Costa Rica. Like, we were in the cut.
Yeah.
But I think what you said, realize the more people are good than bad, because being from Metro Atlanta, going to school, we
Yeah.
went to Georgia Tech for 4 years. You always have to be on alert because something's always going down in the city.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a minute, I mean, I was still like aware of my surroundings, but I let my guard down just a little bit to just, I was like, these people actually like, wait a minute, these people kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so golden, honestly. And one other thing I wanted to kind of like hone in on was in terms of, not waiting around for people, because you can wait around people to travel for you and it just never happens. Okay. I love my girls like to death, but we are such procrastinators. We are never going to get it done. And we're trying to plan some trips right now, honestly. And I'm like, I'm ready to go like tomorrow, but sometimes too, I'd be like, I don't feel like putting together an itinerary, I mean, that's real. So I'm trying to really get comfortable with the uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and go after some of these solo trips. I'm like, I really and truly want to travel the world. I feel like there's so much more outside of, just I've been in Georgia my whole life, so I'm like, it's time to go. It's time to leave. It's time to fly the nest, and not just view the States. I feel like I've kind of seen enough of the States. I'm ready to go somewhere else.
No, when I tell you, I feel that, like, yes. And like, I wrote my personal statement for medical school,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end line, it's so funny you said there's a world beyond Georgia. Literally, that's the end line. Like, I was like, there's a whole world beyond Georgia that needs my assistance. And that was the parts of my personal statement. But literally, there's so much out there to do. And I think you have to travel with people who have that mindset to want to explore.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm grateful to have the friends that I do have that want to travel and be able to explore. Because honestly, at the time of the Costa Rica trip, I think all of them were busy.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was just like, okay, I'm not waiting on anybody. I'm going to take myself. So that was the first time I've gone abroad without my parents. That was
Mm-hmm.
the first time ever just like going by myself. So I would say it was cheaper because that money that I was gonna go to LA.
Yeah.
And I did end up going to LA. I was stuck in the cut in LA. That's a whole nother story. I have these stories. It's not like something happens on my trips, but I was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I don't know if I was near South Central or something. It was a bad night. Let's just say that. I was praying. I was like, God, if you just but
Let me make it through.
story. So I found it was much cheaper to travel abroad because with my flight, like I track flights, I track hotels and everything. And what I would have spent in LA for like 3 or 4 days, I would have spent in Costa Rica for a week.
Mm-hmm. How much like total would you say it cost like for Costa Rica?
Um, I would say initially 800, but there were like some times where one, I had to change my flight
Mm-hmm.
because of delays, and two, I had to dish out additional money to catch the taxi. So I would
Yeah.
say roughly maybe 1100, 1200.
That's not bad, honestly. That's not
But
bad.
I was there for 8 days.
Okay.
8 days, and food was like 1 to 2 USD. 615. I don't know what the conversion rate today is, but when I went, 615 colones is $1. So for like 1,200, no, 12,000 colones, you can get like a full meal, like everything: plantains, rice and beans, chicken, fish, anything you want. And that's like 3 or 4 USD.
Wow.
So that, I would say that was the benefit. The food was and the food was fresh.
Mm-hmm.
That was the benefit of that. So I would say traveling, but people spend in Miami for a week, and in Costa Rica. And even I went to St. Martin later on that month for my for my cousin's birthday, and literally, same thing, but it was cheaper because I traveled in a group.
Yeah.
Literally, same thing. We got an Airbnb. We each paid like what 175 or one. It was something like it was no more than $200 for all of us to split like a 4 or 5 bedroom Airbnb, and we
Yeah.
so it's like when you think economically, if I put food, okay, if I don't eat out, if I eat my leftovers, you know, that's $20 here, save $20 there. That's 100 and something dollars. Do it over 2 months. That's your stay.
Full transparency, I've never like gone abroad. So for me, I just think the whole idea of like going somewhere else is just expensive, you know? But like hearing you break it down, it's like it's actually more realistic than you think. It's actually more doable and possible like than you think. So I'm gonna
And
hit you up because I need to like put some things on the books, put some things on the calendar because I really, really want to get out there and like do some more. So I'm gonna try to switch gears a little bit because we got like 30 minutes left, and I'm gonna be respectful of your time, honestly,
no,
because we haven't even hit on what the plan was to hit on. But you know what? That's okay.
we flow. I mean,
Exactly. We flow, you know? But before I kind of like let you go a little bit, because we're gonna talk more about travel. This is not our one and done episode. Like I can already tell you that right now.
I will list out all my tips and everything, what I'm learning. And I'm still learning. Like I learn every day. So woo,
We need a we need a crash course. Give us a crash course, okay? on how to solo travel successfully, okay, and have fun. But one of the main things that I really wanted to kind of talk and chat with you about is okay, so I already alluded to before, you guys, that like Ed is just like this has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of wisdom. He's so like he's just a fountain of just wisdom and like good energy, honestly. And I feel like he has finally packaged this together, put it all together for everyone to get a taste, to get some insight. And that is in your book, Standing, that you put out not too long ago, I want to say. So talk to us a little bit about your book, who it's for, why did you write it, you know, what's it about, all of that good stuff.
So Standing, so I wrote Standing for Gen Z and millennials, and I was thinking, what would people my age want to hear? Like, when I write things, when I create content, when I write things, I write with the full intention of thinking about what would I need to hear in those moments. What would I? Because I mean, I'm a 20-something. You're a 20-something. Most of the people who we're around are 20-somethings. But what would I need to focus on, and what would I need to focus on, and what do I need to hear in those moments?
Yeah.
I transferred to tech spring of 2018, and that's when Standing came to me. Standing came where I think I was having a hard time to transfer. I was finding my way, trying to find friends, trying to meet new people and everything. But being a transfer was hard because I didn't know anybody. So it's really lonely. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. It was very lonely.
Yeah.
So I began journaling here and there, just writing a little bit, putting journals together. And that's what caused me to write. I was like, what do I want to hear? And eventually I was like, wow, I have enough to have a book. So I recorded voice notes and I paid somebody to transcribe it. And then I got like a PDF of me I was just like, whoa. I was like, you wrote a book. I was like, whoa. So then I contacted a publicist, and special shout out to Miss Makesha Dorsey, amazing team. Love what she does. So amazing for putting Standing together, and it was amazing. Um, but that's how it came to life, and that's how it came to vision. So I released Standing right before we entered COVID.
Oh my gosh. You know, I love that you say that like this book was kind of an accident. Like you didn't really plan to write a book. Like you were just journaling, you know? And it's like it just gonna show like we all have a book within us. You know, honestly, I like to say that everyone has a story if you listen long enough. Because everybody has gone through something in life, no matter what your background is, your level of experience, whatever, everyone has a story, honestly. And I feel like if we were just more open and more willing to share like our journey, our paths with each other, we would be so much greater in life. So I love the fact that you're saying that like you are really writing to yourself, maybe like a younger version of yourself, right? And it just happened to come all together in a book, you know? And it's so nice. It's a quick read, but honestly, it's so dense. It's so amazing with the content that's in there, honestly. Like, I'm not even lying. Go get the book. Go read the book. I'm gonna drop the link to the book down below in the description. You guys just have to like take a second and go read it. Honestly, read it today. And tell me it's not good.
And I created to give people, I wanted to make it short, simple, to the point where people are able to read it, because I feel like with long reads, it's hard for people just to read things.
Yeah.
Because I know I get bored, like reading long reads in class. I'm just like, professor, wrap it up. Like, come on, bro.
It's time to go.
So I wanted to write that as just a way for people to be able to reference certain things, be able to go back and, like, at the end of each chapter, I have a question and answer. Like, take what was the feedback from this chapter, because I want people to be able to just more so not reading, but more so learn and tap into who they are. So
Yes.
they know who you were created to be. So when you talk about who you were created to be, you got to know who you are first.
Exactly.
So that's when I reference that. That's when I reference stand who you're created to be, because you have to know who you are and able to stand, like in the workplace, in corporate America, within your graduate school, within whatever field you are, you need to be able to stand.
Yes.
So you got to take a stand. Like, some days somebody may be trying you, but you know who you are, or you got to know what you bring to the table. Because let's just say you're applying to these jobs in corporate America and salary negotiations. You got to know what you bring to the table, who you are supposed to be. You don't want a job to lowball you or play you out of what you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
You got to get paid your worth. So if you don't know who you are, then you're always going to be accepting the bare minimum. And that's with relationships, that's with friendships, that's everything. You don't know who you are, the bare minimum is just going to be there. You're going to be like, oh, that would do. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get. But is that, in reality, is that really what you want? No.
No. Oh my God. That's exactly what I was going to touch on too. I love the format of your book. And it's funny now because I hadn't seen it in any of the books that I read, but now books that I'm reading, I'm starting to see that format where, you got questions at the end. And I love it because it takes it from just being a read to an actual like workbook or like guide, in terms of, I actually have something to refer back to. I actually have some actions, some steps that I can do right now to kind of put what you said and what you poured into me into like action, into fruition. Like, what can I actually do today to implement it? And that's it's amazing. I love it, honestly. And one of the things I just want to talk about too and hint on real quick is just in terms of, knowing who you are and knowing your worth. It's interesting because you don't even know the principles or kind of like mission statement for the podcast, but you just hit it right on the head. It's literally young, like ambitious people, young people like us that are serious and focused on showing up like authentically and taking up space intentionally, like really coming with your full self and knowing like, hey, this is who I am and I'm standing on it. And I didn't even put that together, y'all, standing in my mission. It just works out. It was so beautiful, honestly. And I just want to come talk about the book because I love the book, honestly.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
When I was reading the book, I'm a big annotator. Like, I love highlighting things and putting like notes. So like, if you ever actually get one of the books, like, don't, because you're gonna see everything highlighted. You're gonna see post-it note stickies. But it's a way for me to kind of refer back and reference things, because I'm a big quote person. I love quotes. I feel like quotes are those little small nuggets of information you can take and you can remind yourself of constantly. Like, whenever you kind of feel like you're in a rut, you need a little bit of extra like motivation today. I just go back to my quotes, and I find something that really sticks with me that day, right? So I want to really jump into some of the things that I think your book really schools us on. Something like the three main points that I got from it, really. And it's seasons, mindset, and environment. I think you talk about those three things so well, so nicely. In our pre-interview, we were chatting about that, about how all these things like really kind of come together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give you a second to like talk on that, how, because I don't know, was it intentional in terms of, seasons, mindset, and environment, or just kind of just come together?
So it wasn't okay. So it wasn't intentional, but there are 2 chapters in the book that I want to reference, and it's about peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
So it's like there are moments where, okay, with your peak, there are moments where you're like, "Woo, I'm on top of the world!" Like,
Yeah.
feeling myself. I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm loved.
Mm-hmm.
Those are those peak moments where it's like everything is happening for you, like it's a fast accelerating thing. But what about when you're down in the valley, when you're down and out, when nobody sees your pain, no one sees you, like you're low, like you're going through a really hard time. You also have those times when nobody wants to talk about being down in the valley. No
Yep.
one talk about being when you're down and out, when you're down in the gutter. Like when you're down, everyone likes to see you up, but when you're down, no one wants to talk about that season.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wrote about that, I was thinking about those times where I was winning, I was seen, I was like, "Ooh, I'm fine. I'm all this."
Yeah.
But when I reached those, when I wrote the Valley chapter, I thought about those times where I was just like, bruh, like, this is trash. Like, why am I going through this? Why happening to me? So you're gonna have those peaks and you're gonna have those valleys, and those are the part of the seasons that you may encounter. But you're also gonna have those. You also have to work on your mindset in those seasons,
Yeah.
because with being in the peak, you're winning. You have that winner mentality, like I'm all this in a bag of chips. But also, when you're in the valley mindset, or you're gonna walk into the valley with a defeatist mindset, kind of like, oh, what's the point? I'm done. No,
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't. So it's like your mindset is really important, because your mindset has the ability to push you out of certain things. So it's like if you have a strong mindset, if you're always affirming yourself, if you're always keeping your mind focused on what you want to focus on, even when it looks bad, you have to go back to that mindset and say, okay, but what is my mind telling me?
Yeah.
And even like with your mindset, you have to really affirm yourself. And one way you affirm yourself is through God's word.
Mm-hmm.
One way you affirm yourself is through journaling. But like going to your Bible, go, like, every time I'm down, like Joshua 1:9 really sticks with me. Have I not called you?
Mm-hmm.
Have I not commanded you? The Lord God is with you forever where you go. I know I'm paraphrasing. I know I'm definitely paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
the gist of it is saying God is with us wherever we go. Have I not called you to this? So when I'm in that valley moment, it's just kind of like, okay, let me take a step back and remember my mindset.
Yeah.
And also, the next thing that's important is your environment. What are you being fed?
Yeah.
No, I'm a science major, so we, as a bio major, especially on the pre-med track, we learn about different how different things are affected by what they're being fed, whether that be cells, whether that be anything. They can either grow or they can shrink. So where are you placed?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the people in your life? What are they putting? What are they telling you? That,
Yeah.
what are they telling you? Because um people can either feed you or they can cause you to shrink. For example, people are like, oh, your little book, oh, your little podcast.
Yes.
What good if you're in that environment? People is like, oh, why are you doing that? It's gonna take a while for that to grow. Why
Mm-hmm.
this? Why are you gonna? That's negativity that you don't need in your circle. You don't need that in your environment. So how can you expect to grow and become the entrepreneur, become that person that you're supposed to be, but you're surrounded by people who are constantly nitpicking? Oh, that doesn't look good. Oh, that you got to start somewhere.
Yes.
You gotta
Yes. Oh my gosh.
don't despise small beginnings. It's like, honestly, if when I look back at when I started speaking, when I started doing things, there were
Mhm.
so many people who were like, well, you need to just focus on school. How are you going to be pre-med and try to do a business? How you going to do this? How you going to do that? You know, even people who I was rejected so many times from different opportunities. And it's like now people are like, oh, wow, it worked out. Oh, yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, it did. But I had to separate myself from those environments because people can always speak negativity over yourself. But if you have that mindset, if you're constantly affirming yourself, it's going to cancel out everything that people are going to say. And that's another biblical concept. The power of life and death is in the tongue. So people can speak death like it's like, oh well, that's gonna take a long time to grow. Okay. But I'm gonna go reaffirm that and say it's gonna grow really fast. And
Yeah.
that's cancel that out. So that's the other thing. But surrounding yourself with people is so important. Like my brother, my best friend, every day we on something. Like, bro, let's get this bread. Let's make it. Let's push. Let's push. Like a lot of my friends are like, hey, let's get it. You know, having that mindset. But if you have people that drain from your quote unquote well, your creative, whatever you have, whatever you're brewing, whatever you're creating, good. Because I'm gonna be real. I had somebody tell me I'm too ambitious. Like,
Oh, yes.
somebody say, "Oh, but you're too ambitious. I think you're doing too much and everything." But I said, "Listen." At the time, I was like, "Listen, I'm 21. I'm really trying to live a life of ease by 25, or or however, whatever. I mean, because I still, life happens, stuff happens, but I'm really trying to create a life of ease. So it's like either you're gonna sit around wallowing in your misery, or you're gonna get up and come with me. But if not, I gotta leave you where you at."
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. You, like I said, you don't even know my work behind this podcast, but I promise you that is exactly why I wanted to create this platform for people. I feel like there are a lot of you're seeing a lot of these young entrepreneurs, young business owners pop up, right? And I know, like I have heard it so many times, people come to you and you say, oh, you're doing too much. You're too ambitious. You need to slow down. You need to, pump the brakes a little bit. You're young. You need to just, stick to the status quo, basically. And it's like, no, I don't. Like I have a goal. I have a vision of where I want to be, and I want to be there sooner rather than later. I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor now and not wait until I'm 50 or 60. Like tomorrow's not promised. Like let me do what I'm doing right now, walk in my purpose right now. Why am I, holding or pushing things off for some inevitable like future goal or milestone or whatever?
You shouldn't.
So why am I holding on to my voice because of something you said because you're having a bad day? That's what I'm gonna say. You're having a bad day. It's not gonna make me have a bad day.
Woo.
And when I started to think like that and started to put that first and started to be like, you know what, God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop your show. Like let's go.
You gotta have that. You gotta have that. Let's get it, because especially as young African American millennials, I don't know if we're millennials and Gen Z, we one of them, but we're one of them. We have to be aggressive with everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this, and this is my view, but we gotta really stop. Like, this is one thing I realized. We gotta really stop hating on what the next man is doing. We really gotta stop that crab in the bucket mentality.
Yeah.
If I see you doing it, then you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're saying. I know.
You tearing somebody else down because they're doing something you want to do. No, you can learn from these people. Like, that's what I realized. I can't hate on somebody else getting their bread. If they making that money, if they doing what they need to do, I can't hate on that. But at the same time, one thing that I'm not going to have myself is being surrounded by people who will drain me, people who will constantly. Okay, this is one of my quotes, and I believe I put it in standing. But don't shrink to make other people feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized in some of my friendships, if you dealing with an insecurity, I'm sorry, but I can affirm you. I could try, but every time I get on the phone, I'm telling you good news. She's like, "Oh, that's okay." There's a point where I'm gonna have to distance myself from that situation.
Yes.
Because every time I get on the phone, it's always like, "Well, are you sure, bro?
I know. And honestly, okay, so for those people out there, because I know that, you're going to say, you're thinking it right now, you're saying to yourself that these people that are negative minded, that are like coming at me sideways, they're family. Like, I can't cut off my family. I can't cut them all off. And this is what I do, because I've witnessed this. I have this in my own life too.
Uh-huh.
You have to get into the mindset. You have to get into the habit of stopping those conversations right as they start.
Come on.
So in my household, when because sometimes it could just become habit. It just becomes part of your everyday, man. And I realize this in college too. People ask you how you're doing. You're like, I'm okay, but I got this test coming up, or I could be better. I could. And it's just like, no, you have to stop those negative thoughts and those negative, affirmations, or speaking over your life. You have to stop it before it even starts. Yeah. Because I'm like, if you don't have anything positive to say, if you're not talking about anything great, then don't talk. Let's not do it. Let's not put life into those words. Let's not, speak that over our life right now. We don't need it. There are so many other things that you're fighting in life. You don't need another reminder of what's not working out.
Because every time that someone speaks something negative, it's kind of it's reaffirming your doubts and your fears and your
yes.
I'm sorry, but if you're insecure and I'm working on getting rid of my insecurities, how that's gonna work out?
Yes.
How's that? I'm just gonna be real. Ooh, I'm sorry. The 229 really came out with that one, but I heard it. I heard the accent, but all I'm saying is, how is that gonna work out? How is that gonna pan out that there are two people who are friends, or even, and I'm gonna put y'all on game, even with some of y'all relationships.
Yeah.
If you feel like the significant other that you're dating isn't uplifting you and putting you up, I don't want to say it, but
you gotta cut some folks off, and you have to be okay with it. Because you know what? When you're working on your mindset, you cannot forget the environment piece.
No.
They work in tandem. You can't separate them.
It's a 2-in-1. Like, you have to be able to, you have to be, equally yoked.
Yes.
And that's even with friendships and relationships. You have to find people who speak your language. And I'm not saying to cut all your friends off who aren't focused, but I'm saying you're going to have, and what I had to learn this the hard way, but you're going to have friends who are going to be divided into three sectors. And TD Jakes, he has a message on this, but I'm trying to remember. I think one is the confidant. So that's one that you tell just your best friend, and then I forgot what the other two are, but the confidant's someone who you could just tell. But in my life, I have party friends I know to get lit. I don't be hanging around them like that, but I know if I ever want to go out, then I have friends who are social friends, oh, hey, let's grab coffee and everything. And then I have the inner circle and the business friends. Those are friends, Shanice is the inner circle and the business friends. She's one of them.
Yeah.
So push you and just get the right mindset who gets you and who can pick you up in spirit. Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought it. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Keep going.
Have friends that can pick you up in spirit just by the tone of your voice, the intonation, or even with a text message. Have those friends who are able to just pick you up and just be like, hey, are you good? The text, you don't usually text like this. You had a rough day, you had a bad day. I have those friends, I'm just like, dang, how you know I was going through a rough day just by my text? Because they were able to pick me up.
They know you. That's what I say. When I said this earlier in the show, I said, folks are in your life for a season and a reason. The sooner you can identify those two, the better off you're going to be. And it's not to say that you are building transactional relationships. You're being real about the things that you want to. You're being intentional about what you're building and the season that you're walking in, or the season that you're coming out of. Because you can't take everyone with you. You can't continue. Like I said, you can't fly if you're weighed down. And that's just the truth. you know? And one of the things that I love in your book, I want to call out real quick, is you said you're not meant to be connected to everything. Be discerning about who and what you allow into your life. And I love that. And I wanted to call it out right now. I feel like it was a perfect segment for now in terms of in today's age of just, social media, there's this sense or this urgency or this need that we feel like we have to be super connected to everyone. There's hyper connectivity, like I can text somebody across the world in 2 seconds and they can respond back to me, right? We feel like we have to be connected to everyone and everything. And it's like, no, we don't.
No.
We don't. We can't. Okay, you cannot function that way, And one of the things that I like to say is like, everyone's like, oh, let's stay connected. And I realize this a lot in terms of maybe college and also in work, right? People like, let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's give me your number, give me your handle. And I'm like, no, I'm probably going to talk to you again. And, some people you just kind of get those bad vibes from. So it's like, why would I want to be connected to you? I don't.
Why would I want to do?
And it's just like, don't over connect yourself to like people or things that don't serve your purpose or, your reason and your calling in life, be comfortable with the uncomfortable, as I said before, and just let people go. You have to be like, okay, that was cool. You were here for this season in my life. It's time for me to move on. Thank you so much. It's time for me to move on.
It is time, like, and you get that sense in your spirit when it's time for you to move on. You know what? I'm sorry. And honestly, guys, with ending friendships, ending relationships, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's hard because it's like you've been connected. But I'm going to say this, for every friendship I've lost, I've gained even better friends.
Yes.
People who I did not know, they would support me off rip.
Yes.
People who
you know what? Every time I've done that, God has brought someone else along, like you said, that's even better, that's pushing me even further, like on this journey, right? And I'm not gonna say that because we're not here to bash anybody, so I'm not gonna do that.
I'm not gonna throw shade. I'm just like, listen.
No, I was just gonna say, like, a lot of times the people that I've cut off, people that I let go, when I go back and try to like look them up again, maybe on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, they're in the exact same place that I left them in. And it's like, I am so glad that I didn't keep myself connected to this. No. And another thing you say in your book that I really love is, and I wrote down because I'm like, yes, I don't do this enough. Don't allow familiarity to keep you connected to people that don't value you. It's like, yes, I know this person. We've been riding since day one. They my A1 since day one. Like, we've been down, but you are causing me physical, mental, emotional, spiritual pain, and I can't go forward. And it's like, at that point, why are we still connected? Just because of Blink? Just because we know each other for a long time? It's like, you really have to weigh out the pros and the cons. What are you getting? What are they giving you? Like, it's not worth it. You have to let it go.
You got to let it go because nothing is worth your peace. Nothing is worth sacrificing. Time is precious.
It is. Your time, you are worth it. You are worth so much more. Stand in who you are. Stand in who you were called to be, and let them both go.
Got to. Like, I'm not telling y'all to go out and just cut people off, but I'm saying evaluation. Like, this is an honest thing. Take an evaluation, see who in my circle is pushing me. Who in my circle is pushing me towards positive things? Because some friends can be negative influences. But what I'm saying, who in my circle is pushing me? Who in my circle is holding me back? Who am I in the middle ground? And who in my circle is my like road dog? Who will push me to my next? Who will be there? You gotta take evaluations, and that's like every few months. You may have to delete a few numbers on the contact.
Yes, you got to do a performance review. You have to take a second, take a time out. And, it's one of the things I saw like on Pinterest one time. It's like, you are the CEO of your life. You have the power to hire, fire, promote, and demote people in your life. Do it religiously and be intentional about it, because you know where you want to go. You know what you're trying to do.
Right. And what what I realized is you have to be intentional with that. Like, you have the time. It's up to you.
Yes.
But if you hold on to some things, it could be 6 months down the road. You're still stuck in a relationship that or friendship that you were supposed to let go of at that business.
You're thinking that it's you. You're thinking that I'm just not working hard enough. I'm not grinding hard enough. And it's like, no, you are the sum like of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with small-minded people, you're gonna be the 6th. No matter how much you want to say like, oh, I outwork them, I have bigger goals. It's the environment that you're putting yourself in, that you're confining yourself to.
Right. And people don't, yeah. I'm sorry, I was gonna go on a whole nother tangent.
No, it's cool. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how you have to like just really get into the habit of, or just really understand that like your environment and your mindset are together, right? Because if I got someone that isn't doing anything with life, they're gonna continue to pour negativity into me, and then over a while, it's just become an unconscious habit of you just start thinking negatively as well, right? Another thing that you said in your book that I really, really loved is practice telling yourself what you want, not what you don't want. You don't need a negative reminder. Your mind will grow and gravitate towards your words and your thoughts. And that's what I mean by these unconscious like habits starting to form and bubble up and boil up to your subconscious. And then that's when it just goes to crap. You have to get into that habit of focusing on the good and surrounding yourself with the good. The negative and the bad is always there. It's always there.
You gotta surround yourself by the good, and you gotta continue to focus on what's good. So it's like there is okay. I don't want to paraphrase this. Okay, I don't want to paraphrase this scripture, but I'm gonna tell you.
Yes.
Okay, Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are a good report. That's a scripture that you got to focus on the goodness.
Yes.
When I think about the goodness, think about whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure. So that's what focusing on the goodness means. Like, and when you look in your friendships, think about those quality traits. Think about those. What do you value?
Yeah.
What do you value in your friendships? Because some people, honestly, some people value partying. Some people value getting turned up. Like, that's a part of it. But I could say whoever you hang around is something in you. It's something in you that's connected to them.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's something that you don't like, but it's something in you that you got to deal with.
One of the exercises, I told y'all I love the format of the book because it's not only a read, it's okay. Not only are you reading it, but it's reading you. Okay. But anyway, this is one of the exercises that was in there. It was like, if you had to build something with your last 1,000 words and thoughts, what would you build? And I was like, we got some bad stuff. We got crap. I don't have anything good that I'm building right now. And when you start to think like this, when you start to put yourself in these situations and do these exercises where you're intentionally taking time out and evaluating, your thoughts, your words, your actions, your routines, the things that you think are meaningless throughout your day, boy, man, I tell you.
I had to change my mind because I was just like, I had to change my mindset because it was eating me up. I was just like, why are you thinking like this? I was like, no, sir. You have to really focus on positivity. And I read a book by Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she talks about, I forgot the name of the book, but I read it over the summer. She talks about how the brain responds to positive words and affirmations. How neurons has something called neuroplasticity where they pretty much fire out different responses because positivity, so our brain can be rewired to think positive, to think different things. And that really stuck with me. I was like, wait, so if you're speaking negative, your brain isn't changing. But when you speak positive, your brain is literally like re-engineering, recircuits itself, so your thoughts can just flow. So I found that really interesting. It's a very good read, guys. Dr. Caroline Leaf, she's a clinical neuroscientist, but a lot of the work that she does, she talks about the neurocycle and how the brain functions. Like, y'all, it
Mhm.
would, so I was that book out.
Okay, so we are going to close things out here, you guys. We are right at time, honestly. And this is why I say that, like, Ed is coming back, because he's just so good. He's such
Oh,
I'm telling you, like, it's just, we can talk like this for hours, and we usually do. And that's why I say, like, something, you have to know your friends, and your friends have to know you, because I feel like Ed and I are those people where we don't talk every day, but when we talk, oh my gosh, it is a game changer. It's a life changer. Okay. But we're always checking on each other and holding each other accountable. But Ed, before we leave out, before I let you go here, share with us some words of wisdom, give the folks some encouragement to just go about their day.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. I got it. With everything that you do, show love. Show love and be a light, because you never know what people are encountering, and you never know how your response to them just walking in public or whatever, you never know how that can impact their day.
Mm-hmm.
When you show light and you show love, that's a reflection of God's light and God's love. And being able to do that, that will be able, being able to show that light and love in the lives of others, um, that will be able to just radiate.
Yeah.
And it's like a gift that keeps on giving. When you smile to somebody in the grocery store, or maybe you'll be walking, compliment somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a compliment, whether it be a friend, be like, you look good, even on Instagram, because that's affirming somebody else, that's uplifting somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Show them love, y'all. And it may be hard. And the other thing I would say, go back and forgive. Go back and forgive, and through your forgiveness, show love. So if you have a friendship, or
Mm-hmm.
something you didn't do right, something's up with that. If you didn't do right on your end, and you're saying it like, I don't gotta apologize, I am. Get it right, because the thing about it with showing love, yeah, it deals with your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So if your heart's not pure, if your heart's not in the right place, you're not gonna be able to receive blessings. You're not gonna be able to receive certain things because your heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm not trying to get deep and preach a word, but when God gives me something, like I had to take a minute because the Holy Spirit was just speaking to me. But that's what I'm saying. Just show some love today.
Yes. Be nice. Be
Not
nice.
trying, not trying to get here and preach, but that's all I'm gonna say.
No, that's good. Spread some love, light, joy, positivity today, and watch it come back to you tenfold. Okay?
I'm speaking to myself. Like, honestly, there are some friendships where it's on a bad note at bad ends, or on both ends, or it's just like there's some things that I may need to go compliment somebody. We're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So go spread love. Like today, I'm probably gonna swipe up on people's story, be like, congrats. Just sending things to affirm other people, because guess what? You never know what battles people are facing, even though they have they look fine, but you never know.
That's the side, yeah.
So.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Ed. I really enjoyed our time. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate our friendship. I'm so glad. And here's to many more, obviously.
It was good, wasn't it? I know. I don't lie. I don't lie. But you know what? We're not going to leave those shrimps on the table. You have homework. So until I meet you again, here are 3 things I want you to work on. Okay? Number 1, intentionally go out of your way to be nice to someone today. That may look like you going up to someone and saying, hey, I love your outfit. Or you know what? Your new hairstyle is banging. Whatever that is, just intentionally be nice to someone. It costs you nothing. Number 2, I want you to, for the next 7 days, get into the habit or get into the practice of stopping negativity at the door. Now, that can be with you, or that can be with family and friends that come and want to talk to you. Okay? If it's with you and you have those negative thoughts, I want you to immediately replace it with a positive affirmation. I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm blessed, I'm well, I am whatever. Okay? Replace that negative thought, the negative feeling, with a positive affirmation. And if it's some family, friends that come up and want to talk to you and they have something to gossip about, or they have a bad news report or whatever it may be, I want you to say, you know what? I don't have the capacity for that today. We're not doing it. That's it. Simple as that, okay? You don't have to be rude. Just say, you know what? I don't have the capacity for that today. That's all. And the last piece of homework is I want you to go back and forgive. You see, I didn't even say a name there. I didn't say a title. I didn't say anything. But you knew exactly who I was talking about. Yeah, that person right there. The person that immediately popped into your head when I said this. Go back and forgive him. Now, that forgiveness can look like whatever you want it to look like. Whatever in your heart will satisfy and make you feel like, you know what? I forgave them. Do it. It costs you nothing as well. It's going to take a little bit more work, granted, but it's going to cost you nothing. Okay? So that's all, my friends. Do your homework. Tag me when you're doing it and when it's done. And you know what? At the Well-Read CEO, tag me at that. And you know what? I'll see you next